everybody. This is Ananda. Please like and prescribe after you've seen this or while you're seeing this to this channel. So this evening, I wanted to give a brief talk about the Enneagram and the different ways people can use the Enneagram for self-inquiry. I work with the Enneagram a lot, and in case you're new to the Enneagram, there are some fantastic books that you can read, one of which is called The 9 Lenses on the World by Jeremy Wagner. It's fantastic. Just to give you a brief understanding of what your type is and what your fixation is. The fixation never changes. We all will, for the rest of our lives, have a fixation. And our type will be a certain type between the number 1 and 9 on the Enneagram scale. And those types are really divided into 3 separate types. For example, the 8, the 9, and the 1 are body, or what they call gut types. The 2s, the 3s, and the 4s are feeling types. And the 5s and the 6s and the 7s are thinking types. And what that really means is that there are 3 different areas areas of intelligence that we use. So the 8s, the 9s, and the 1s use experience, gut, the body. And the 2s, 3s, and 4s use their feelings as their intelligence. And the 5s, the 6s, and the 7s are inclined towards thinking. And although all of us have all the various types within us, we have one fixation. Often what happens is you start reading up about the Enneagram, and you can do an Enneagram free test online. In fact, that's called the Hudson and Rousseau free Enneagram test. I like that one a lot. And then once you get your score, you'll be able to see, okay, I'm a 9, a 1, a 2. You take it from there. As far as awakening with the Enneagram and why it is important, it's important to help us with our self-observation. The reason being is that we all believe at some point that we are a little I, a little me. And that little me is what in the Enneagram we call the fixation. And we operate usually according to that fixation. So when you start to investigate, who am I? What is this little I made of? You have to go inward. But it's not enough just to go inward in meditation. You have to observe yourself during the course of your days and really notice how it is that your fixation is playing out in your various existential experiences throughout the course of your days. I've got some notes here. I'm going to be referring to them. One of the things that I wrote down is that the little I, okay, and that's something. This is something most of us that are awakening know, is fictitious. It doesn't really exist, but in order to operate in the world, we really need it, and it's super important. Because without so, we wouldn't have personalities. We wouldn't have, it's like not having a body. We have to have something to filter through our awakened, expanding consciousness. And the Enneagram is just a phenomenal tool to help our consciousness expand. Most of the time, the fixation we have is totally unconscious. And the reason being is that, for example, and let's begin with the 8s, the 9s, and the 1s, the gut, the body type. What happens with these people is there is anger lurking beneath the surface. Now, this doesn't mean that they're constantly walking around like angry, vicious human beings at all. Not at all. But they all have access to this anger. And this anger is something that drives them in different ways. For example, an 8 overdoes anger. Now, that doesn't mean the 8's constantly angry. It just means they have easy access to that emotion called anger. And anger is a very strong energy. And so what an 8 needs to understand and learn is how to use that anger energy in ways that can actually be beneficial versus detrimental. How to use that available energy that they have on tap all the time constructively versus destructively. The 9s, on the other hand, underdo their anger. that means that they pretend it doesn't really exist. They don't like to feel angry or uneasy. So they deny it within themselves. And whatever you deny or resist tends to persist. But years can go by where they will actually not say they don't even feel their anger, but at the same time, they might also say they don't feel any vitality. They'll feel a flatness. Because when you block one side of the equation, you're automatically blocking the other, remembering that the opposites are needed. So that's underdoing anger. And what the one does is the one will come across as if they are resentful or they are irritated. And sometimes if a one is completely unconscious or unaware or hasn't even looked at the Enneagram, they'll say, I don't really struggle with anger. But if you're a one, there is anger that is just coming across in another way. Resentment, irritation, and that's the way it plays out for a one. So what a one has to do, just like an 8 and just like the 9, is to self-observe, see how am I using this energy and how is my fixation working for me in my daily life so that I can overcome it and do something differently. Okay, so remembering that the essence we are has to be experienced. That means we have to get past the fixation to experience our essence. But at the same time, there really is no way of doing that when you are unconscious of your fixation. The way through is, the way past is through being aware, self-awareness. This is the Enneagram is phenomenal from a self-observation point of view and self-inquiry point of view.